Hey there, and welcome back to the Smart Nutrition Made Simple show. I'm your host, Ben Brown, co-founder and CEO of BSL Nutrition. And today I'm here with Erin Nielsen. Erin has been a physical therapist for the last 20 years and is also a certified health coach and Pilates instructor. Her true passion is to spread the word that no matter your age, you can naturally reset your body to burn fat, look youthful, and get your energy back. Through her Youth Method program, and with a huge heart for others, her mission is to inspire and empower women to live their best life in a lean, youthful, and healthy body. Today on the show, we talk about the Youth Method that Erin created that revolves around healing foods, healing movement, and healing mindset, and the 4 Ps of nutrition. We talk about high-intensity interval training and high-intensity resistance training for exercise, and we talk about her 10-5-3-1 method for mindset that helps establish better gratitude, better positive thinking, and overall better well-being. All of these factors contributing towards a more fit, a more energetic, a healthier, and a younger you. Erin, how are you? It's great to see you again.
Hi, I'm good. How are you? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So what's been going on?
Oh my gosh, just busy with helping people get healthy, right? Teaching them good recipes, good nutrition, showing them great workouts. So keeping busy all the time.
I love it. And well, that's obviously why I wanted to have you on the Smart Nutrition Made Simple show, because you're doing all of that. You're into fitness, you're into nutrition, you're into mindset, and you're spreading an amazing message. Tell me, because you come from a physical therapy background, how did you kind of what's that journey looked like so far?
Oh my gosh. So I've been a physical therapist for 20 years, and basically I decided to go into this whole online world because I really love teaching people my strong belief that once you turn 40, you don't have to fall apart. You don't have to start gaining weight. You don't have to start having joint pain. You don't have to start being fatigued all the time. And after, from a really young age, I always wanted to help people. But I saw all these people in my life kind of start falling apart at a certain age. And they, like I just said, they were getting joint pain. They were gaining weight. And there were some really amazing people that I started seeing this happen to. And I didn't really understand how to help them. And that was really frustrating. And my mom would always laugh at me because she'd get report cards from teachers, like when I was really little. Erin is a really big social butterfly. We've got to work on that. But she's also very empathetic, and she always wants to help the kids and even help the teachers if they're having a bad day. And I didn't understand really that about myself until I started seeing this happen to people that I really loved, that they were literally falling apart. And then later in my life, my sister broke her neck, which really was another time I was like, I just want to help her. And I didn't know how. So I went to physical therapy appointments with her to get back to that physical therapy question. And that's really what inspired me to be a physical therapist. And I loved it for the longest time. I still love it. And I was really fulfilled for the longest time. But then what I started to see was my patients started opening up to me. They're coming to me for pain, but they started opening up to me more about some of the other struggles they were having, especially once they reached the age of 40. Again, they started gaining weight. That's when their joint pain started. They were feeling fatigued all the time, really super low energy. And the really interesting thing is, at the same exact time, I'd probably been a physical therapist for about 15 years when I really started to see this trend. And I was nearing my 40s at that time. And I was starting to feel unfulfilled, fatigued. I started to gain weight. I started to have these little joint pains. And I'm like, what is going on? I feel like I'm falling apart. My patients are telling me they feel like they're falling apart. They're not just having pain. They're having everything falling apart. And I'm like, what is going on? This can't be the way it has to be. 40, we have to have 50 to 60 more healthy years of our life. And I had this realization that we were all in our 40s. I was nearing 40. They were in their 40s. Those amazing people I talked about before that I saw fall apart when I was young were in their 40s. And I'm like, I had this really strong realization, and I knew there had to be a better way. So I love research as a physical therapist. That's just something I love to do. And so I really just dug into the research out there. And with what I found, I started to change the way I ate, the way I exercised, and even my mindset. And I put those things into practice myself, and I saw these amazing changes. And I knew I had to tell my patients. So one of the main things that I did was really started to introduce what I like to call healing foods. And basically what those are is just foods that don't cause inflammation in your body. Mm-hmm. So many of us eat foods that cause a lot of harm to our body and cause inflammation. And inflammation, as most people are starting to hear about, is the cornerstone of all disease. So it can inflame your joints, it can inflame your skin, it can inflame your organs, and it just leads to a lot of bad things. So that was one of the first things I did, because I was eating processed foods and high carb, no nutrient foods. And when I did that, it made a huge difference. And I started teaching that to my patients. And then they were like, I feel so much better. We're doing this physical therapy, but they started really introducing these foods into their life, and their pain was going down much more rapidly, which was just so amazing to see. So it was fun because I got to do the research on myself first and then switch forward to them.
So what were some of the changes that you started to see in yourself as you started to eat healthier and exercise?
So like I had said, just like my patients, I was starting to gain weight. I was starting to have low energy and little joint pains, not as bad as some of my patients did, but definitely started to see some negative changes. So as soon as I started introducing those healing foods, the weight that I had gained came off. I think I had gained about 15 pounds within a year. That came off really quickly. My energy skyrocketed through the roof. And I just felt better. Like I was excited to get up in the morning, like when you don't feel well, you just don't even want to get out of bed in the morning. Right. So I felt amazing. And then I saw those same exact changes happen with my patients. They started to lose weight. Their joint pain was getting better faster with the physical therapy. It was just amazing. And then I also introduced healing workouts and what you said before, a healthy mindset, all with those foods. But I started with the foods first, because that was kind of like, that's what I tell a lot of people that follow me, is trying to do too much all at once can be really tough. So just, introduce one new thing at once and then go from there.
So we'll get into the nutrition, the fitness, and the mindset stuff in a little bit, but I'm curious. So how did you kind of what then followed with, because you don't currently practice physical therapy. So tell me what you're up to now and how you're serving people with this information.
Yeah. So once I saw how amazing this was, as I said before, I wasn't feeling as fulfilled in my job because I didn't feel like I was reaching enough people, especially when I found this better way, not just treating the pain, but actually treating the body as a whole. So I was like, I have to reach more people. This isn't enough. I need to get this message out. So I started the youth method. I started my program called the Youth Method, which really, again, starts with the healing foods, healing workouts, and healing mindset, and put that online. And so now I've helped thousands of people with these 3 easy steps to stay young and healthy, full of energy. And another, I didn't mention before, another amazing side effect, a good side effect of these healing foods is you look so much younger. You feel so much younger. You just glow from the outside. I'm in my 40s and people don't believe it. And so many of my people that follow this program get told, you look 10 years younger. What are you doing? So it's just a beautiful side effect of the whole, of just being healthier.
Well, that's a beautiful and really important side effect. And I was going to say, I can't believe that you were 40 plus years old. So you look incredible.
I can't either.
You're obviously doing something right. And, I think that in and of itself is something that a lot of people are searching for, is this whole kind of anti-aging, is maybe more of the scientific term, but just looking younger and certainly feeling younger. And I know for myself, this is something that I've literally never thought about before in my life until maybe the last year or few months in terms of like my skin, how my skin looks, wrinkles that I'm starting to notice show up all over the place. And I'm like, you know what? I really need to like pay more attention to what I'm doing, how I'm taking care of myself. I mean, obviously I take care of myself, but maybe there's other things that I should be doing. So talk to us about, well, let's start with the nutrition aspect. What is it? What's the nutrition that helps us create more youth, look younger, feel younger?
Yeah. So I try to keep it really easy for my followers because, as you know, the nutrition industries can be very confusing. So I like to keep it really simple. And I talk about the 4 Ps. So it's a very simple way to remember. The first 2 Ps stand for protein and produce. So at each meal, I really encourage everyone to have some sort of protein, a lean protein, and some sort of produce, which is fruit or vegetables. So if you can remember that, you know you're going to be having a meal that's full of protein, full of great antioxidants, and the antioxidants are what are amazing for your skin and your whole body because they help fight inflammation and things that cause damage to your organs and your skin and your joints. So, and the other thing I like, the other 2 Ps are what to avoid. And so you want to avoid packaged and processed foods. So most packaged and processed foods, there are some good ones out there. There's more and more out there, but most of them are not so great. They're a lot full of sugar, full of preservatives, and just things that you don't want in your body. And those types of things can cause inflammation. So, and then the other thing, in addition to those 4 Ps, is I just say, and that includes some really great healthy fats. So healthy fats like olive oil, avocado oil, macadamia nuts, salmon, just those really wonderful healthy fats that are crucial for your cells to regenerate, and they help your skin too. So,
yes, absolutely. So what would be an example of a meal that would encompass the 4 Ps and maybe an example of something, maybe an example of, a healthier meal that would be in line with your youth method as opposed to a meal that you would typically see people eat that may not be as good for them.
Yeah. And that's what I love about this is some people are like, well, you can't, when you eat healthy, that means you can't have steak or you can't have bacon or you can't have desserts or whatever. And I'm completely not aligned with that. So one of my favorite meals that I love is like a good grass-fed steak. So a lot of people will be like, you eat steak? I'm like, yeah, I eat a lot of steak. So great grass-fed steak or salmon if you like fish more. But those are, the grass-fed steak is going to have a lot more healthy ingredients for you than a conventional steak. So try to go grass-fed if you can. And then a nice side dish of some sort of yummy vegetables. Like I love Brussels sprouts. I love squash. I love asparagus. I love so many things. There's so many great vegetables you can have. And I usually tell people, try to fill at least half of your plate up with these amazing vegetables. And you're going to be filling your body of those antioxidants, and they have a lot of fiber, so it's going to fill you up. But you still get to have this amazing, yummy steak that's so savory and delicious. And then one of the things I love, which I do a lot of videos about, is I love making healthy desserts. So I love taking people's favorite desserts and making them healthier. So like at Christmas time, I did a lot of red velvet stuff because everybody was like, I need a red velvet recipe that's good and healthy. So I did a lot of those. I'm a huge chocolate lover. So I do a lot of chocolate brownie bite recipes that are made with healthy ingredients.
So how would you make one of those recipes healthier? And what are the components that actually make them healthier as opposed to
probably
maybe
one
lower
of my
in
most,
calorie?
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed what
No,
you said.
I said, so what would make them healthier as opposed to possibly being just lower in calories? Like what are the ingredients?
Yes. So one of my most favorite ones that I made this year, I created this year, they're like a dark chocolate brownie bite. And one, they're healthier because I make them in little brownie bites. So you're hopefully not eating quite as many, but they are lower in calories, but have healing foods. Like I have a protein powder, like a dark chocolate protein powder in that recipe. I have raw pure honey. So there's a real difference between refined sugars and then something like a raw pure honey, because raw pure honey has nothing that's going to cause inflammation. It actually has these amazing antioxidant benefits and polyphenols that help your body heal, help your body look amazing, help your body fight disease. So I use that sugar instead of the refined sugars. And then I use one of my other favorite dessert ingredients is cacao, raw cacao powder.
Yes, love that.
I mean, it's the best thing in this whole world. I don't know. I like just love it. It's like chocolate and it's good for you. So it has, and one of the things I like about that too, other than it tastes amazing, tons of antioxidants, but I really like, and a lot of people don't know about this, is that it's a natural energy boost. It actually acts very similar to coffee, but without that jittery feeling if you get jittery from caffeine. But there's no caffeine in it. So it's just like an all-around amazing superfood.
Yeah.
So I just mix all those up together with a little bit of unsweetened almond milk, and it makes a nice little brownie bite, and it's
sounds
good.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So higher quality ingredients, a little bit of protein in there, which we wouldn't normally get in typical desserts, lower in calorie, and the cacao's cool. Yeah, and very low in sugar, and still tastes amazing. And the cacao's cool because, correct me if I'm wrong, but with cacao, like it's very good at being satiating or reducing like cravings for sugar. So a little kind of goes a long way.
It does. Yeah, and it's a powerful tasting thing, so you don't need a lot. And it tastes amazing. It makes you feel, like you said, satiated. It gives you a little energy boost like coffee does. But I mean, there's just so many great benefits to it.
Beautiful. So with the nutrition, we're getting protein. It's okay if it's animal protein, but we're more importantly, we're getting lots of vegetables, which we've talked about plenty on the show. And then we're avoiding processed foods. So I think maybe just a couple examples of what we're talking about when we're saying processed and packaged foods. I mean, I think everyone can kind of imagine, but maybe a couple examples.
So some of my old favorites when I was eating all the wrong things and started to fall apart was, so like a lot, I love cereal, but a lot of cereal is packed with so much sugar. Like if you look at the side package of a cereal box, it's alarming. So anything like that, anything that's boxed, a lot of even just like energy bars that are supposed to be healthy, too much sugar. So you just really, like I said, there are some good packaged foods out there, but you just really have to check the label and make sure there's not any added refined sugars, any added stuff that you can't read. And so just things like that. I usually tell people, if you can, to try to stay away from the middle of the store, because that's where usually all the packaged and processed foods are. And of course, the obvious ones are like candy bars and soda and all of those things that people know. But there's a lot of health food that's disguised as health food, but it's really not.
Yeah, there is. And it's funny. I was making some notes the other day. I was in bed and I couldn't sleep, and my mind was kind of going. I was like, I should write all this stuff down, because there's so many perceived health foods that aren't healthy at all. And like, I'm glad you brought it up, because they're loaded with sugar, and cereal is a great example. It's like we have these fortified cereals that are, quote unquote whole grain, or they're gluten-free or whatever. And it's like still just sugar bombs, regardless of the fact that they're fortified with vitamins and minerals. Yogurt's a big one, like sugar yogurts. I think a lot of people getting in trouble, like with their morning coffee with creamers.
That used to be one of my things.
Yeah, the stuff really adds up. You're like, well, how much cream are you using? And so, end up using half a cup throughout the day, and it's just loaded with calories. So I could go on and on and on, but I'm glad that you brought those up. So real whole food, beautiful. So then, good nutrition, obviously. So what's the next step? We're talking about movement.
Yeah. So movement, it's so important. And, I've made all of the mistakes, and that's why I can teach this so easily, because I know exactly what it's like. And I used to completely punish myself with my workouts. I used to work out for hours, work out at a really high intensity for 2 hours, which is not good for prolonged periods of time. I'm a big proponent proponent of intense workouts, but not for that long. It's just too much for the body to handle. And it actually ages you faster because it causes what we call chronic inflammation in your body. So I really got away from doing those long 2-hour workouts and started I do anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes of high intensity workouts. So high intensity, a lot of people sometimes don't understand what that is. I just explained to people, you really want to be working at a level of, on a scale of intensity of 0 to 10 at like a 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. Or an easier way to understand that for some people is after the workout, you should be sweaty, breathing heavy, and it should be relatively difficult to talk right after you're done. You want it to be high intensity. So I think it's really important that you're not punishing your body with those long drawn out workouts. Now, a long, nice hike or a long, nice bike ride, that's fine because it's lower intensity. So it's all about intensity and length is how it kind of works. And in addition to those high intensity workouts, because of my physical therapy background, I love teaching people mobility workouts. So improving mobility, improving flexibility, because I'm a huge believer that a lot of age deterioration, especially like in our 60s, 70s, 80s, is that we lose our mobility. Mm-hmm. We lose our ability to squat to the ground. We lose our ability to get out of bed without support. Just these little things that creep on slowly that if you're preventing them to begin with, you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of the healing movement too that I love to teach.
So give us an example of what a high intensity workout would look like. I mean, I like that, it could be as short as 10 minutes, you said, and we don't really, maybe you don't recommend going longer than 30 minutes. So what does that look like?
Yeah. So with a lot of the workouts that I create, most of my followers really love the 10-minute workouts because they're busy professionals. They want to get in, they want to get out. But I do, I'll make a video like for 10 minutes and I'll say, if you have more time, go ahead and do this two more times for a 30-minute workout. But what they normally involve is very similar to probably what most people have heard of is those HIIT workouts. So you're doing high intensity with a small rest break. And my workouts tend to be all body weight. So I like using big muscle groups with squats, lunges, all of those great things, push-ups, pull-ups that really work large muscle groups. You're working at a high intensity for, my workouts vary, but it might be like a 40-second time of work and a 20-second rest, or sometimes I'll do a Tabata training with 20 seconds of work and 10 seconds of rest, but it's really using your body weight. And as people get more advanced, they can add weight. I think that's great too. So, but a lot of people that first are coming to me for workouts can't use weights. So we start them just with body weight. Cool.
So when you talk about intensity, are we talking about like the rate at which, so the number of reps that they're doing in the 40 seconds or 30 seconds or 20 seconds, or is it just perceived intensity of how difficult it is for them, or what are we talking about for that?
It's kind of a little bit of both. So when I explain someone how to do a high intensity workout, I first say your form is the first thing you need to think about, because if you try to go too fast, but you're sacrificing your form, you're just going to get injured and then not be able to exercise. So first I say focus on your form, make sure you can do the exercise in the correct form. And then once you have that, I recommend people do the exercise that's prescribed during those 40 seconds as fast as you possibly can with correct form. Mm-hmm. So, and then after that, they, like I said before, they should, if they're not out of breath, if they're not sweaty, they didn't go hard enough. So go harder next time. So that's kind of how I gauge it for people.
So go harder, or maybe you need to start adding weight.
Either adding weights or doing faster reps. So if you're already going as fast as you can and keeping good form, then you're going to have to add another way of increasing the intensity, which is adding weights.
Perfect. Love it. Yeah. So then what else do you recommend in terms of like daily movement? Because a lot of times we talk about, there's a difference between structured exercise and just movement. And what we know is a lot of people need to just generally just move more. Yes. And really kind of mitigate the amount of structured exercise. Like you said, we want to crush ourselves in the gym, but then potentially we just sit like at an office the rest of the day. And maybe by, you know, dampening or reducing the amount of intense structured exercise, but increasing the total amount of movement per day, will be a lot better off. How do you factor that into your programs?
Yeah. So what I usually tell people to do is when they first start with me, some people are super sedentary and really have never worked out before. So I simply just tell them to start walking 30 minutes every day. Like, just start walking. Then once I have people doing my workouts and they're doing them regularly, because my workouts are only like 10 to 30 minutes, I usually have them do those like 3 to 4 times per week. And then on those other days, I have them do something that's restorative, like one of my mobility workouts that I was talking about, or yoga, or I also love Pilates. So I have a couple of Pilates workouts that are more restorative to the body. And I actually recommend, if they can fit that in, to do those restorative type of things every day. Because like you said, people are sitting so much, and that's where our mobility starts to deteriorate. But I also talk a lot about walking. And one of the things I realized when I finally got a Fitbit thing, was I thought I was getting 10,000 steps a day. Not even close. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that. They're like, "Oh, I walk everywhere." Yeah, but it really is so important to walk more.
Yeah, it is. And it seems like it's trivial, but it's, I mean, we have so much research to back it up, is people just need to move more. And if nothing else, like, like you said, sedentary person coming into, it's very daunting for people to think about starting an exercise program. They may not be familiar with weight training. They may not be comfortable going into a gym setting, especially a lot of the women that you tend to work with, or a lot of the women listening on the show. And it's like, hey, just getting out and starting to move, accumulating that 10,000 steps per day in and of itself can be a significant contributor to, of course, improving your health. Your, being an anti-aging component, making you feel and look younger, is to say nothing of what it's going to do towards, burning more calories and reducing body fat. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
And the other thing that I really like about the walking piece is, especially if it's nice weather out, like here it's freezing right now, so I don't want to go outside. But when people get out and walk outside, they're getting the added benefit of the sun and some vitamin D production, because it's so important. And so with the sedentary lifestyles and the way we sit all day at our jobs, I love, even if you don't have time to go for a walk, I also love just giving 2 or 3 little exercises you can do right in your office. Just simple little stretches that just get you up from sitting for like 2 to 5 minutes, and then you can sit right back down. So yeah, it's just all of those little things can make the huge difference in your life.
They do. I always, before these shows, like, I always want to make sure I'm switched on and thinking clearly. And so what I'll do is, I'll just do like a quick set of like push-ups and body weight squats and some split squats and a couple little stretches. And it's like 3 minutes. But
so
it makes and like I'm warmed up, of course, but more importantly, like my brain's switched on, and I feel like I'm thinking more clearly, and I'm like my energy's better, and so it's pretty profound.
It is, because when you move, your body needs more oxygen, so your everything's just working better. You're delivering oxygen more clearly to everything. So
yeah, cool. So, all right, great. So we talk about exercise. So what's the third component of your youth method program?
Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. They're all so important, but this is one of the ones that I introduced late into my research, right? So, because the healing foods and the healing workouts can be amazing, but if your mind isn't there and you're either not believing in it, or you don't think you can do it, or your mindset just isn't right, or you're too stressed, or you're too busy, it's just not going to work as well. So I love a healing mindset, and I make this one easy too, similar to my 4 Ps for the food. Is I do a daily morning mindset. You don't have to do it in the morning, but it's when I do mine. And I have 4 numbers that I talk about. And the first number is 10, 5, 3, 1. So the first number 10 stands for that 10 minutes of exercise. So it can be more than that, but try to get at least 10 minutes of exercise in, whether it's just walking, like we talked about, or whether it's doing a full-blown high-intensity workout or a Pilates workout or yoga or whatever it might be, a mobility workout. Just 10 minutes of healing movement is so important. Mm-hmm. So that's what the 10 stands for. And then the number 5 stands for 5 minutes of prayer or meditation. So whatever you believe in, or reflection or mindfulness. Just really focusing on your day, focusing on what you're thankful for. I'm a big believer in gratitude. So really just taking that 5 minutes of mindfulness makes a huge difference. And then the number 3 is actually writing down three things you're grateful for. So for the longest time, I used to just think of 3 things I was grateful for. But once I started writing them down, it was even more profound and had a much more profound effect on my life, because you have to challenge yourself to write 3 different things down each day.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to have a negative mindset when you think of something you're thankful for. And I've had a couple of rough years. Like, this has been a rough year. We've had a lot of deaths in the family. And even on those really tough times, there is still something to be thankful for. And it just changes your whole perspective. So all of us go through struggle. And sometimes it's hard to think, well, my life's awful. Most of the time, you can think of 3 things. So it really changes your whole attitude. And then the number 1 is, I love this one, is just 1 act of random kindness a day. Super easy to do. It could be as simple as just, paying your spouse or your kids a compliment, something that simple, but just really being intentional about it and making sure you do it at least once. You can do it more. So yeah, it's when you treat other people well, 1, it comes back to you because you feel good when you make someone else smile, but it just changes your whole attitude. So
yeah, those are great, and something that we definitely practice. At night when we're putting our kids to bed, often, and not often enough, but often we'll ask them, at least we have 3 kids, 2 girls, they're 8 and 6, and we'll ask them, what's one nice thing that you did for someone else today?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's one nice thing that someone did for you today? And it's just kind of keeping them with a positive mindset, an optimistic mindset, understanding that it's important to acknowledge those things, the gratitude, like you talked about, but then also understand that it's important to give back.
Yeah. It really is. And that kind of reminds me, because I've never even really shared this with my followers, but I think I might now, is we do something with our kids. They don't live with us anymore, but we used to, at the dinner table, we would say 3 things. We would say, what did you learn? What did you teach? And what did you enjoy today?
I love that.
So good. And it's such a great thing at the dinner table, because, it just really makes everyone share about their day. And again, it's just being thankful that you can teach someone something, that you enjoyed something, and that you can learn something every day.
You said, what did you learn? What did you teach?
And what did you enjoy?
And what did you enjoy? Beautiful. Those are all the 4 P's, the 4 numbers, 10, 5, 3, 1 for mindset, 10 minutes of movement, 5 minutes of meditation or prayer, 3 things you're thankful for, and 1 random act of kindness. Yeah, those are powerful. It's awesome.
They change your life. It just completely changes your perspective.
Beautiful. So let me ask, so now you have your youth method, and you have, you're predominantly, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're predominantly coaching, I'm assuming 40 something females.
Yes.
So if you were to look back on your career, knowing what you know now, kind of what would you do differently, but sort of how do you feel about, especially being in physical therapy, when you know how important nutrition and exercise and mindset are? How do you feel about that journey?
Meaning doing physical therapy only at first and none of that other stuff was involved?
Yeah, I mean, you know, what's your perspective on just physical therapy in general and how much time you spend physical therapy and possibly
Yes.
how much more profound change you could have created had you
Oh,
known then what you know now?
I, I'm glad you asked that question because I talk about this a lot. That was one of my frustrations when I finally decided to go online because I knew that we're treating reactively,
Hmm.
not proactively. Because, people are coming with pain because they've been taught the wrong things to do. Like I did for so many years. I did everything wrong. And so I just wish back then, if in physical therapy school, they taught some of these other things that I could have given those gifts so much earlier on. I have no idea how many patients I taught over 20 years, but that's a lot of patients that I could have helped so much more if I
Yeah.
knew that 20 years earlier, because the changes that occurred in myself and then when I shared it to my patients happened so rapidly. I'm talking like within a week. People were coming in, they had lost like 2 to 5 pounds, their joint pain was getting way better faster, and just they had more energy. They wanted to get up in the morning. Like I was saying, I didn't used to want to get up in the morning sometimes.
Yeah.
Just yeah, I feel sad that I didn't know it before. It does. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could reach out to all those past patients and be like, I can help you now.
I know.
So hopefully that's what my online program will keep reaching more and more people, make up for that.
And um, so what is your online program called? Where can people find more about you?
Yeah, so my online program is called the Youth Method. And it basically consists of just all of the stuff we talked about. There's healing workouts there. I really get people on track with my 14-day diet detox. It just teaches them all about the basics of nutrition, a little bit about what we talked about today, but with these great recipes and meal plans to get people on track. So it's called theyouthmethod.com is the website, and
Okay.
it's got everything you need and everything we talked about today.
And then you had said you've got a gift for everyone
Oh, yes,
listening.
I have a free gift for you guys. Yeah, so that's a great example because it's called my 72-hour flat belly detox, and it includes 3 of my workouts. So they're 10-minute workouts, but you can make them longer just by performing them, 2 or 3 times through. And then I have 3 days of recipes and meal plans. And people, like I was saying before, when I did this with my patients, within 3 to 5 days, it's a 3-day detox, but you'll notice your skin starting to clear up. You'll notice the bloating go away. You'll
Mhm.
notice your energy increase. It's wonderful. People love it.
Cool. So we'll have the link to the 72-hour flat belly detox in the show notes, as well as the a link to your website, Youth Method.
Yes.
And I'm assuming you're on social media.
Yes, I'm on Facebook under the Youth Method. I'm on YouTube under the Youth Method and Instagram as well. So I post
Awesome.
all like recipes on my Instagram. You'll see all my pretty pictures of my food, and I do YouTube videos of my recipes and workouts and mobility moves. So there's a lot of great stuff on there.
Awesome. Erin, it's been such a pleasure catching up with you, sharing your knowledge and your passion
Yeah,
for
I know I love
nutrition and
it.
fitness. And yeah, you're just doing an amazing job. And I feel very privileged to know you and to have
Oh,
you on the show and to share that with our listeners. And so thank you for that.
well, thank you for having me. I feel privileged too.
And we'll catch up again soon. Take care.
All right, see ya.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Erin Nielsen. Make sure to check out the show notes over at bslnutrition.com/episode 35. And make sure to subscribe and leave a review in iTunes so that we can help more people make smart nutrition simple.